Calling to order the regular meeting of the Wheeling Plan Commission for Wednesday, December 15th, 2021. Please stand for the pledge. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blanova.
I'm here.
Commissioner Berkey. Here. Commissioner Sprague is here. Commissioner Yednak.
Here.
Commissioner Heiken.
Here.
Commissioner Riles.
Here.
Chairman Johnson.
Here. Full house tonight. Ms. Nyes, any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
All right. Citizens' concerns and comments. I don't believe we had any.
Nope.
Anyone other than the petitioners?
There's no one on the sign-in sheet.
All right, we can move to consent items, and we have none of those. So first up is docket number 2021-23A, a variation for side yard setback for Masters Countertops at 363 Alice Street. They also have docket number 2021-23B, variation for rear yard setback for the same address. Both of these were opened as public hearings a while ago. Ms. Nyes, any update before we go to the petitioner?
We can let the petitioner do the update.
All right. Is the petitioner here?
I don't see her.
We don't have anyone for Masters Countertops here? Going once, going twice. All right, we'll come back to them. We'll move on all the way down to D. Docket 2021-48, special use to permit recreation and instruction facility, Dharma Mountain Buddhist Association, Chicago chapter at 241 Holbrook Drive. Ms. Nyes.
Hello.
This is a public hearing, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Secretary. See, I got out of sequence and.
I wouldn't have let you go too far. Dharma Mountain Buddhist Association, Chicago chapter leasee is seeking special use approval as required in Title 19, zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-10, use regulations and associated sections, in order to permit a recreation and instruction facility to conduct classes with more than 12 people at a time for the property located at 241 Holbrook Drive, which is zoned I3 General Industrial. A special use as defined in zoning code is a use of parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to the potential for negative impacts on surrounding properties. In order to be considered for a special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at a public hearing that the request meets the standards of the village code, including but not limited to how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that the request meets the standards for a special use as established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the village board.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Nyes, do you have anything?
I'll just give a brief intro that the Dharma Mountain Buddhist Association, DDMBA, Chicago chapter, they are seeking a special use permit for a recreation and instruction facility. They're currently offering classes primarily via Zoom, but they want to have on-site classes and they'll have more than 12 people. We included a schedule. And then they have also told us that they wanted to have some large gatherings, approximately 10 times per year. And since that's considered secondary to the primary use, it's the main special use here is for a large recreation and instruction facility. And the petitioners have given me a presentation that they would like to show.
All right, petitioners are here. Come on up. Come on up here.
You can come on up.
You can take that off while you're up here, yeah, so we can hear you better. I need to swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
Yes, everything is true.
And state your name and business address for the record.
Yes. My name is Iris Wang. Our chairperson or president is teaching in Wisconsin, so she's probably going to be late, so I'm her backup. And I'm actually the founder of the local chapter. So, there's 3 buildings. I also am the owner of the building, so I can't remember my number. I'm also the I received the 2 letters of the hearing also for the neighbor. Okay, so we are a local chapter of a U.S. what's it called? NGO, DDMBA. And we are advocating a Buddhist way of living, which advocates compassion and wisdom that was taught by our late teacher, Master Sheng Yan. And we teach meditation and classes about how to practice ourselves to reduce our temperament, negative emotion, and to advocate wisdom and compassion to others and benefiting others. So that's what the whole organization is about. And there are about 44 worldwide chapters, and we're one of the chapter in Chicago. I'm actually the one started from my home in 1993, so it's been a long time organization. And we had a location in River Road, and we lost the lease, so we temporarily moved here, but we're also purchasing a larger facility. But meanwhile, we are closed and using Zoom to give classes. And our local, which is pretty much true for the rest of the chapter, is that we're a completely nonprofit and volunteer-based. So the operation is based on donation, and all the board members, committee members are all based on volunteers. And we are about 200 local members and a little bit larger mailing list. And the following, I would be introducing what kind of a class we will be teaching. And here is listed a lot, but basically, most of our classes are on weekends between 8:30 to 4 o'clock. And then we have classes every Sunday, and then Saturday twice a week, and then hopefully open up 2 evenings for yogas or tai chis and things like that. We also advocate a lot of health-related classes and lectures and stuff like that. And then we have a Christmas party, homecoming party, and Chinese New Year once a year. And usually the Christmas party is probably the beginning of December, and then Chinese New Year depending on the lunar year and depending on where, and we usually try to have the party before. And those are the parties usually we will get a little larger attendance. We have potluck parties and raffles and celebrations like that. And then the next slide gives us a chart on how and when all those classes are. So we're renting 241 from Brentano, 2 larger rooms. One is about a little under 1,000 square foot. The other one is a little under 200 for activities. And then there's another similar around less than 200 for office and a similar size for storage. So those are the things we're renting. And hopefully we have the privilege to open so we can have actual classes, in-person classes. We've lost quite a lot of members so far. And then The last one is just to illustrate the local impact. Since all of the classes are done on the weekend, the traffic would be very, very easy for around our neighbor. And then we're not altering any of the buildings. And then the parking lot, the building has 39 stalls, and we usually, the most active members that comes in, like a core member, right now if we have like a board meeting, although it's all on Zoom, but if it's an actual facility, it will not be more than 10 people on board meetings and stuff like that. So, so I would say that I'm not sure what else is more impact for the neighbor. It's mainly for traffic, but most of our classes are weekends or after hours. So daytime, there might be one or two people curious and visit us just to see what the facility is like. But most of the times, the classes are, most of the times is Sundays, most active time. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if it's not clear.
Okay. This is a public hearing. If there's anybody from the public that came to talk on this?
So I also represent the neighbor. So
okay.
I own 3 buildings
Did
there.
you say you had a statement from the neighbors or something?
No, I am, of course, in favor because.
Gee. All right. Let's start with Commissioner Berkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Commissioner Blanova.
Thank you. Well, as long as the neighbor is okay with it. Don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Heiken.
Yeah, I just have, I'm a little confused. You said, are you renting this and you're going to be purchasing a bigger building?
Yes, we actually purchased a land about 3.5 acres in Prospect Heights on Camp McDonald Road.
Okay.
So this will be a temporary, but it will be a long way before we can really move in there. It's an empty land right now, and we're working on stormwater, because the city don't have stormwater management system, so we're working with a civil engineer to try to find the right way to design it, and also the certified landscaper and all that. So it's a long
So you'll be renting for approximately more than a year, less than a year?
Yes, definitely. Hopefully, only a year. Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go to the other end. Commissioner Riles.
I have no questions. Thank you so very much for the presentation. Very well explained and thought out. But thank you. No questions.
But I hope you don't just give us a 1-year permit.
Oh, no.
Just whenever our new building is built, then we will move there. We lost the last lease, and we needed urgently a place, so.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening.
Thank you.
The only question I have is one that staff had brought up in the agenda, and that's what you plan on using rooms 3 and 4 for.
Can you show me the map? This is room 1 and 2. 3 and 4 are one is for offices, just with our library in there, and then a computer for someone to go there and whatever work they need to do. And then one is a storage that's mostly things that we need to store. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
That's all I have.
And Commissioner Yedek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You kind of answered one of my questions. I was just wondering the relationship to the current business. So you are the owner of the business. Is there the business is taking place during the day then? Is it a manufacturing or storage or warehouse?
Yeah. So our main building is across the street, 260, and then we purchased across the street, and then we purchased the one next to it, it's a 250, and we have extra space. And when DDMBA really needed in a crunch, because that building had a kind of a conference room area that we're using it mostly for warehouse, so we don't really use that area. So we rented to DDMBA for them to use.
Okay, so how is the rest of the building, how does the business use the rest of the building then? Is it?
It's mainly warehouse. There's about 5 steps in the warehouse side. So if you have
That big open space that's on the
yeah,
diagram?
that's all warehouse, and they manufacture samples. Very quiet business, yeah.
Okay, all right. So,
Yeah.
but then the business is just operated during the daytime, so.
They're only, yes.
So the employees will be gone when you're doing.
Yes, it's a 9 to 5.
But you are the owner of the business and you're the owner of the building and you're a member of this organization. Okay, all right.
It's-
The
yeah.
other question I had, this is more for the fire department. They were talking about having parties of 40 to 50 people. Are there any, would that be within the code? Is there any concerns about the volume?
Yeah, yes, it's within the code, as far as assembly occupancy, yes.
It's sprinklered and whatever else is necessary, the protections are there?
That I can't tell you
Okay,
about
so,
the sprinklers.
but
Yeah.
would that be something that would be validated before they started operating the organization? Or would it need to be, I guess? That would be my question.
Yeah, let me take a look at that and see.
We could, if it's necessary, we can always rent a space for our party, so that's no problem. If we're not allowed 50, we'll do a limit or rent a space for party.
I'm not trying to shut you down, I just want to make sure that it would,
Yeah.
if you got a lot of people in there, that it would be safe and
Sure.
and operated within the bounds of the, and this question was just for staff more than the petitioner. It stood out to me when you said if they had a party for 40 to 50 people, that, does our code say 17 parking spaces would be defined?
It's usually-
That seems way low for a party of 40 to 50.
Yeah, it's, I believe it's 1 seat per 3 people.
Oh, is that what it is? Wow.
Yeah, and then also with regards to the sprinkler system, that gets evaluated when they would come in for their business license, which would be after they get their special use.
Okay.
So when they come in for their business license, a fire inspector checks everything out with regards to capacity or occupancy and the fire sprinkler
Okay,
system.
I mean, I made this comment one time, this is not related to this petition, but I don't know if we got to rethink some of the parking. That just seems small, that for 50, a party of 50 people, if it's all adults, you would think that would be like couples, and so you might, they've got plenty of parking. I'm not, I said, this doesn't apply to you. You've got plenty of parking to cover it just surprised me that the number in the code comes out to 17,
Yeah,
so.
well, I mean, across the street, we have lots of parking too.
Yeah, no, it's not related to you. You've
Yeah.
got plenty of parking. It was more the way our code is written. That was my
Yeah,
question, just
sure.
more for staff and something we can look at in the future. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my only question was in regards to the fire department, so I have nothing else. Does anyone else have any more questions? Left, right? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Yednick and.
Berkey.
Yednick
It
and
was Yednick and Berkey.
Berkey.
Commissioner Yednak,
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Blumenova,
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes, Commissioner Heiken,
Yes.
Commissioner Riles,
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, so I will contact you about when you'll move forward to the village board, and they'll make the final decision.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Good luck.
Is it rude if we leave because our...
No, go
Yeah.
ahead, please.
There are times I wish we could.
You want to take my place? Yeah. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
I need a motion to close 2021-48.
So moved.
Second.
Sprague, Berkey,
Sprague and
Berkey.
We did do a check, and I'm 99% sure it's sprinkled, plus the exiting's
Yeah, it's a roll call.
sufficient for that number of people.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes, Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Blumenova,
Yes.
Commissioner Yednak,
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken,
Yes.
Commissioner Riles,
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. All right, shall we move on to Handi-Foil then, or go back, move on?
Yeah, move on to him.
Okay, docket number PC 21-25, minor site plan and appearance review for Handi-Foil at 135 Hintz Road. Is the petitioner here? Come on down. Please just state your name and business address for the record.
Sure. My name's Jeremy Hall from Partners in Design Architects. Our address is 2610 Lake Cook Road, Suite 280 in Riverwoods.
Ms. Knives, anything on this? Or
I'll let you take it.
You let me take it?
Yeah, well,
take it.
you don't even know what order the slides are in, so it'll be.
Yeah, we're all.
Yeah. So I'm here representing Handi-Foil. The Handi-Foil's looking to do a small 3,800 square foot office expansion in the southwest corner of the building. Purpose for this being to relocate some offices from another part of the building, as well as bring in some new employees and kind of house them here. This is kind of a underutilized portion of the building. It's mainly warehousing in the area. And then there's the parking that's around here is, for the most part, usually not used. So for them, this is a good spot because then these office workers are here, their parking's nearby, they don't have to search for parking, et cetera. Part of the concept and intent is to cut in some additional windows to these private offices, as well as kind of create a new entry feature for this office in particular. That's pretty much the scope of the whole project, really. Plan is to, there's existing parking right outside, there's existing landscaping area there where the plan is to kind of enhance that a little more so it feels more like its own little entrance as well. And then we've got submitted everything there, materials, et cetera. So I'm here if you have any questions. There's also someone here from Handi-Foil if you have any operational questions for them as well.
Very good. All right, we'll start with Commissioner Yednick this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I was just, I went out and looked at the property and and even the pictures show there's an existing door on that west wall, but it's marked as a new door on the plan, so are you gonna, okay, now I see it. Okay, I don't know if that was on our drawing. You're taking out the old door?
Yes, yeah, that's an existing exit door. We're relocating it further east.
Okay, all right.
Just for the interior layout, there's an office plan for that corner. That door will be going directly in the office. This shifts it so it's...
And you're not going to reconfigure the parking spaces then, correct? And that was what I was wondering for staff for legal, that the 88 spaces are around the side of the building where the new door, so is that the purpose of the new door, so that that would be ADA accessible? Because it looks like the main entrance is going to be on the front. Is there any requirement for those spaces to be closer to the main entrance in that situation?
It's my understanding that the building in general provides handicap parking in the front.
Correct.
That has parking spaces right near the front door. So the fact that this one is not directly in front of this new door doesn't make it non-compliant. Because it does have a main entrance with parking spaces right at the door.
The main entrance for public, the public's not coming to these offices. This is purely employees.
Well, I'm just, you
Right, yeah,
might have an employee that uses the handicap space.
Right, and those are existing handicap stalls. Those aren't new. Those aren't, those are handicap stalls.
Well, I understand that, but that's what I was wondering is, I don't know what the requirements of a requirement, like if you had an employee that would be wheelchair or walker or whatever the situation may be, would they then be using the side entrance or would they be using the main office entrance? And is that within code that the spaces are close enough to the entrance?
Yeah, we did look at it internally and I did ask Jeremy to look at it. And actually these spaces can't be reconfigured, just they have to be on this angle. And actually we did make sure that these landings are compliant. And I do believe that this makes it possible for them to come up on, there's no
concrete there.
Oh, right. So
yes,
they would have to
will go through that
come into this door.
Otherwise, they'd have to come through that parking. And to be, functionally to move those handicap in front of the entrance is, we wouldn't be, the way it's configured now, it's not, they wouldn't be compliant handicap stalls.
Right, so I am not sure anybody would even use these.
Well,
but there is
an employee that needs them, Handi-Foil may need to be aware they may have to make accommodation.
No, this is a compliant access right here.
Correct.
right next to these doors.
Okay,
That's
I
what
didn't-
I'm saying, is they wouldn't be using this
Well, that's what I was
door.
wondering, is that going to be an employee door too then?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, and it's compliant.
Okay, all right, then, because I saw that one, the old door already has a ramp, so I'm assuming.
Right, we're just taking that and moving it
Moving it over.
4 feet to the left, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And I'm jealous for that Handi-Foil, where I worked, we didn't get offices with windows, so it's nice that somebody's getting offices with windows. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Commissioner Riles.
I'm just curious, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, how many employees are you expecting to bring on board?
In this area, Rush, how many?
We are relocating stuff from the front, because we're all in the front, so max total at the height of the building will be 24, but additional probably short term, maybe 5, 6, you know.
No, initially 5 to 6, at full capacity, like 24 to 25.
So you're just going to, just an additional 5 or 6 more people?
Moving 5 to 6 from another part of the building,
And then,
adding 20.
20,
Plus or minus 20.
so a total of 25, 26, depending. Okay, all right. I was just curious regarding, the traffic ins and outs. How much would that, matter or make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, the parking in this area today is, for the most part, generally unparked. There's no cars here. And that south aisle, really, the times I've been there, I hardly ever see any car there at all. So as far as parking for these 25 employees, there's ample space for them.
No other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no further questions.
Okay. Commissioner Heiken.
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Blanova.
No question, sir.
Commissioner Berkey.
Thank you, no questions.
And me. And I had no questions. I think it looks good. Anything from the fire department on this?
That one's sprinklered, I know that.
All right, then I would entertain a motion if there are no other questions.
So moved.
Second?
Yednak?
No, it was Berkey.
Oh.
I'll second.
No, I think Villanova did,
Oh, you
right?
got
Yep.
that one down there?
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Yednak?
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Riles?
Yes?
Chairman Johnson?
Yes. You're all set.
Thank you very much.
So now you can just move forward with your building permit.
Okay, cool.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you.
Have a
Good luck.
evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is docket 2021-50, special use approval for final plan unit development of Phase 2 of the London Crossing Mixed-Use Development. Wingspan Development Group LLC, 889 to 903 West Dundee Road. Ms. Nyes.
All righty. So, we are here for Phase 2 of the development, which, where's my little list here? Which includes, I think this is the key thing that we just want everyone to understand. It includes the site plan for the entire PUD, which includes all the landscaping, all the lighting, parking lots, drive aisles, sidewalks, trash enclosures, site furniture, utilities, and stormwater detention areas for lots 1 through 4, the whole thing. And then the building elevations for Lot 1, which is the residential townhomes. I do have the residential samples up here. If you want, we can pass those down. They're all the way on the left here. Or if you want, I don't know, you could just go over there. So pretty much all of the preliminary approval conditions have been addressed. And let's see, they still had the same requests for deviations. I think one additional one was added. That should be in the final, let's see. Where is it? Well, you have the whole list of departures. I don't think we need to discuss each one. They're pretty much the same. And then the only condition that we have for the proposed for the final PUD is that prior to the issuance of any building permits for Lot 3 and Lot 4, those are the two retail lots, the petitioner shall obtain final PUD approval for the final building design, including but not limited to architectural appearance, materials, and colors. So I have all of the plans that were submitted, so I can scroll through those as you would like.
My name is Chris Coleman with Wingspan Development Group. Thank you all very much for the opportunity to come tonight. We've worked very hard with staff to deliver the plans that you have tonight. We feel that we've addressed all of the questions or concerns raised by the committee and by staff, and I'm just here to answer any questions.
All right. First, I'd like to comment that it was great seeing all the response from our previous meeting. You guys really took care of virtually everything, I think.
Thank you very much.
We'll find out. Commissioner Riles.
From what I can see, everything looks, thank you again, from what I can see, I mean, everything seems to be in order and addressed. I don't have any questions. It looks very well prepared and looks detailed, so thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hyken.
I'll ditto what Commissioner Riles said. Everything looks great. I have no other questions.
Thank you.
Commissioner Blanova.
No questions, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Berkey.
I'm just going to hop on the compliment bandwagon and say it looks great. My only curiosity is what's the ETA for starting construction?
Starting construction, the District 21 building is already under construction, and the horizontal improvements is going to start sometime between now and the end of the first quarter. So we want to get in. The only question is, you know, we're getting some great weather right now, and you want to be careful that you don't get caught by the weather.
Right.
So that's the only question right now.
Yes, there's been good progress in the district building, so
Yeah.
thank you for that. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening.
I just got a couple things. The commercial building that you're going to eventually come back to us for, will you design that so that it blends in with like the new fence that you're proposing here? The colors and then the brick that's going to go onto the buildings in the back, is it going to all kind of meld together?
It will all be, I will say it will be complementary.
Okay.
It won't look like we've got one building that's kind of standing out on its own. The architectural theming that we liked is what we proposed initially, but it was very important that everyone understand that that was conceptual and that we would have to come back and present what ultimately it looks like. And what's going to be the driver of that is going to be the first lease that we get. And we've been in very active conversations with Mr. Patrick Ainsworth here at the village trying to identify potential users.
Okay. Thank you. The only other thing I have, it's a minor thing, but it's something I noticed. There's a considerable amount, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6, I count 7 trees on the landscape plan that aren't identified. I don't know what kind of trees they're going to be.
I don't know those off the top of my head, but
yeah, I have them all written down, but that won't help you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to, show those to me, we can make sure it's taken care of.
All right, I can do that.
Thank you.
That's all I have, thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Yednak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a couple. Welcome, and yeah, it looks nice. Thanks for all the thorough documents. The one thing that I was questioning, though, is the lighting plan, unless I'm misreading it, it shows the fixtures for the streets, and it shows the fixtures, mostly the pole fixtures, but then in the spec sheet, there are some bollard lights, and then there's some wall lights. Those, as far as I could tell, those did not show in the lighting plan. So I was curious, how are the driveways and the walkways in the townhome area going to be lit? Is it going to be the bollards and the wall lights then? And why aren't those on the lighting plan?
The walkways are going to mostly be illuminated by the poles. When the engineer did the study based on the fixtures that are going to be attached to the building, the carriage lamps, sometimes they're commonly referred to as carriage lamps, those are more designed so that you can see the edges of your garage as opposed to illuminating your driveway.
But then where are the bollard lights going to be?
The bollard lights are on the school district property.
Okay,
again,
that's not in the walkway in the residential?
Correct. And it's really just a matter of, is the illumination from those fixtures significant enough to impact the photometric plan?
And so the buildings are pretty big, so the driveways are going to be back there. Is it going to be up to the individual owners to turn the fixture, the wall fixtures on or off? Or are those going to be lit 100% and the townhome association is going to cover that electric bill? Because I'm just thinking if everybody turns their garage lights off, you know, it's going to be dark going into the driveway areas there. People are walking their dogs or anything like that. So how is that going to be controlled?
Yeah, typically that's a resident operation of a fixture, and the homeowners association can create guidelines that you have to turn your carriage lamps on in the evening. But I've never seen a situation where a homeowners association can dictate to a homeowner.
I was president of my condo association for 17 years, and good luck getting it enforced even if you dictate it. It isn't going to happen. That's why I was concerned that you have a lot of dark spots in the walkways and the driveways for the homeowners.
Yeah, the walkways, there are poles, there are decorative fixtures in there.
Well, the poles, what I'm looking at is C2. Those are off of the C poles are the ones that are going to be but those are not in between the buildings where the front doors are. Those are just along that street. I forget the name of what the street you call it.
It's Jenkins. We're just keeping it simple.
Court or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we're not showing any lights in between the buildings themselves where the walkways are. So I'm assuming they may just have front door lights, and again, everybody may not turn them on.
Yeah, and I think just in discussions, we didn't really want to blow this place up with lights, and then there's also the residential to the south, so we can't really put, additional lighting on that south property line.
Well, I wasn't thinking of flooding it. I like those bollard lights, and I thought something like that in front of the houses might be nice, that, in the walkways. More of the owners are going to have to be concerned. I know when I take my dog out, I got a headlamp now, I live in a dark area off of McHenry, that, there's the street lights there are not very good, but I was just thinking in terms of people walking around. So they were not shown on the drawing, so I guess they're not. Okay. This was just a dig, I guess. Maybe you can explain, why are all the townhouses now, people build them with the balcony over the garages and look down on the garages? I don't understand. That's not attractive to me. I don't want to look down on the neighbor's garage door. But they all build them like that. You're not the only ones that do that. Everybody does that these days. I just can't understand that concept. I know we got a bunch of them off of Wolf Road like that too.
Yeah, they're very popular.
Yeah, I would rather have it in front and look down on the landscaping in the front of the building. Then I was looking at the guest parking, and I was wondering, can guests park in the driveways? Are those deep enough?
Yes.
Okay, because I counted 22 guest spots and 44 townhomes. I thought if 3 people throw a Thanksgiving party, you're not going to have any.
Yeah, there's guest parking spots. That's probably hard to see, but there's guest parking spots throughout the development.
Yeah, I saw there's 2 groups of 4, 2 groups of 3, and then all the way down where you are right now.
Yeah,
there's parking down there, but I would think in the 2 groups of 3 and the 2 groups of 4 would fill up quick. But if people can park in the driveway, that gives each townhome 2 more guest spots.
Yeah, the requirement is for each townhome, 2 indoor spaces and 2 outside spaces.
Okay, all right. And how are the townhouses going to dispose of their trash? Are they going to have their own bins and wheel them out for waste management?
Correct.
And where would they do that? In the driveways themselves?
Yeah, at the end of by the end of each driveway, there's a space that's paved so you can put the trash cans there. I don't know if that's.
Okay, so they're not going to have to wheel it out on the Jane?
No, they don't have to wheel it all the way out. The garbage truck will back up in the motor court and collect the trash there.
Okay. And then the last question and I don't know if this came up during the preliminary review. I was trying to remember if I was at the preliminary review. The fence, the new fence, it looks great, and I think we talked about having the fence, but that's going to be continuous, and that's going to completely fence off the retail and the residential, right?
Correct.
Was there any thought to putting in some kind of a break in the fence, maybe a bridge over the retention area?
There's a gate. There is a gate to allow you, for residents or anybody who is coming north. I know you live in the neighborhood, right? So if you're coming north and you want to get into the shopping center, to either go to one of our new,
Right, that's what I was thinking. Otherwise, didn't know if the
Yeah, you
residents
don't
had
have
to
to go
walk
all the way
all the way around. So there's a break somewhere in the middle of the fence?
correct, on the far east end of the fence. And then there's a little pedestrian,
Okay, but that is all the way at the end, so there's nothing in the middle.
there's nothing in the middle.
So if I'm in whatever town, if I'm in the middle townhouses here, I have to go all the way down to one end of the fence or the other. I can't go straight across.
Can't cut through, no.
Was there a thought to do that at all?
Well, if you cut through, then you'd have to walk through the detention basin.
And that's what I thought too. That's why I was thinking it would require a bridge. It would require a bridge and a
Plus,
fence.
the HOA would bust you.
No, I'm not saying, I'm saying if you guys build a bridge as part of the project.
Yeah, well, there's a land bridge between the two detention basins. It's kind of hard to see, but on this drawing that Marcy has up right now, on what is the far east end of the townhomes, you see there's a sidewalk that runs immediately north. It goes, thank you, there's a gate in the fence there.
Okay.
And then there's a sidewalk. The sidewalk extends between the two detention basins.
But if I'm at one of the townhouses all the way in the west end, I either got to walk on the street to go around. Is there going to be sidewalks on that street?
There's a sidewalk
there's
on the
a
street.
sidewalk.
Yep.
Okay, so I either have to go to the sidewalk on the street to walk into lot 2 or sheet L21, which is up in here, or I got to go all the way down to east end, but you're not going to plan any kind of a
You cannot go
walkway
here.
No,
across the retention area?
Right.
no, other than what's shown, no.
Okay, yeah. Would have been nice to have a bridge and a gate. I mean, people could go look at the ducks or the geese or whatever wandering in the retention area when the water's up. That's all I had. I was thinking it'd be nice to have a walkway, but I didn't know if that came up. It looks nice. Everything else complimentary, like everybody said. It looks good-looking property.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. You had two different fence color renderings. Were you looking for input from us, or are you?
If you had a
leaning towards
preference.
the brown?
If you had a preference.
I mean, do we need to take a poll on it real quick?
How accurate are the elevations for the coloring?
That's,
No, those
And
are,
what about availability? I'm not sure you
Yeah.
want to be tied down to.
yeah, I would prefer not to be tied down.
Staff proposed something that would be similar to these shades. So personally, I think we should, something that would be similar to these would be good. I'm not sure we want to try and tie him down to something specific in case that's not available and make
Okay.
him come back to get that reapproved.
Just don't do bright pink or orange, I guess, which I wouldn't think you would have done anyway.
We were just asking for something more of in a brown or a gray or a black. Because before, I think it was a white.
Was a
And the
white.
Plan Commission didn't like the stark white
Right.
look. So we thought this would
no,
be
I
better.
think the brown one looks great, but we'll let you figure out what you need there.
Thank you.
Yes, staff would see the fence before it gets put in anyhow. So.
Do we have any turning radius problems, Chief?
No, we work pretty closely with Wingspan and community development and engineering, so we're comfortable. It's a tight space, but they did a compliment. They did add some hydrants for us. One of
Okay.
those townhomes tight, so we're good with it.
Let's see. And the lighting plan, I think we talked at the last meeting where it didn't take into account the lights from London School property, and apparently it doesn't take into account from the shopping center property.
No, it does, from to the further east?
Yeah,
Correct, it
Your
doesn't.
lighting plan looks like it gets totally dark, but we know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's a way of working that into the plan if it needs to be.
I think we did look at it again. And staff is now satisfied with the plan.
Okay,
I think, yeah, we re-looked at it.
okay, I trust you. I think that's all I had. Any more questions from the commission? Mr. Sprague?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for my own curiosity and for anyone else that might not know, there's a symbol on the site layout plan that I couldn't find identification for, and I'm not sure what it is. And I was wondering if you could, can you zoom in on that at all?
This one.
That one. Can you zoom in over towards the?
I can't zoom.
No, she
Oh, you can't?
zoom.
Okay. Well,
If
let's
you just
see.
point to it on your screen, maybe.
It's right,
Well, I can see your screen.
it's right there. It's a circle with two small lines coming off of it. It's right in the
I
curve.
think it's a light post, maybe.
Is it? Because
Where it says 15
the other
feet?
street lights
No.
is just a circle. It's a
Down,
different
Where it says
symbol.
15 feet?
no, down, just down below that.
Yeah,
Oh,
right
this
there.
one?
That?
Yeah. That's the one.
Where's
I
it?
couldn't find any identification for that.
It only has two,
Yeah, I'm
Lines
assuming it's a
come out?
light pole.
could be a light pole, could be,
Here, he's asking right here on the curve. It's a circle with two lines. Fire hydrant. Oh, fire hydrant.
Oh, okay. All right,
Okay,
thank
that
you.
makes sense.
All right, that's the only question I had. Other
You
question I
like my
had.
drawing? You see, we could have played, like, what's that game?
yeah, Pictionary.
The chief should have jumped in on that
Plan
one.
Commission
I didn't
Pictionary.
want to speak out of
Every
turn.
developer's dream.
Okay, do we have any conditions remaining on this?
Just the one, prior to issuance of any building permits for Lot 3 and Lot 4, the petitioner shall obtain final PUD approval for the final building design, including but not limited to architectural appearance, materials, and colors. So they'll just come back in and show us the elevation for, this building here on Lot 3, and then whenever someone comes in for Lot 4. So they don't have to come in together, they can come in separate
Gotcha.
whenever they want.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Sprague, Berkey.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes?
Commissioner Yadnak.
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken.
Yes.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes?
Chairman Johnson.
Yes.
You're not done yet?
Nope, we're not done. We have docket 2021-51, final plat of subdivision for London Crossing, Wingspan Development Group LLC, 889 to 903 Dundee Road. Ms. Nyes?
Okay, so when we did the staff report, we had 5 conditions. Since then, we've received a plat that addressed all 5 conditions, but because you guys don't have that plat, we talked internally that we could recommend approval with the 5 conditions, and then when I turn around and write the staff report for the village board, I can use the new plan that says they've been addressed. Does that make sense? So the plan that you have in front of you does not address these 5 conditions yet. So while the petitioner has submitted something to us, you guys don't have the plan that addresses them. So I would like to still recommend approval with these conditions, but I just wanted you to know that they've already been addressed.
Okay.
So then when the ordinance goes before the board, it won't have any conditions on it?
Right. The conditions there'll be no conditions when it goes to the village board because it's already been addressed.
Okay. Everybody okay with
That
that?
make sense?
Well, I don't have a problem with approving it without the conditions if
Okay, I mean,
if
can we
you're
do
saying that.
Oh, I think we have to with the conditions,
Yeah.
because
What-
what we're looking at doesn't include the revision.
Right.
And I don't have the updated plat information in
Okay.
the report
All right.
or in the docket, so that's why.
So do you want to read those conditions then?
Sure. The number 1, side yard building setback lines, 15-foot minimum, shall be added to lots 2 through 4. Number 2, the 8-foot front yard setback on lot 4 shall be changed to 25 feet. Number 3, the easement for the underground detention facility shall be stated as, quote, stormwater management easement, quote, and the easement provision shall be added to sheet 2 of the plat based on language provided by the village. Number 4, the stormwater detention easement provision on sheet 2 shall be revised based on the easement language provided by the village. And number 5, the permanent village sidewalk easement provision on sheet 2 shall be added to the plat based on language provided by the village.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the commission on this? Nope. Then I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Berkey?
Second.
Heiken?
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Yednak?
Yes.
Commissioner Riles?
Yes.
Chairman Johnson?
Yes.
All right, so we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank all the members of the commission. I'd like to thank staff for all of their help and wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Same to you.
Holidays.
You too.
Is this done?
Yep.
Okay. Looks like we have our missing parties, so we can go back to A, docket number 2021-23A, variation for side yard setback for Masters Countertops, 363 Alice Street, and docket number 2021-23B, variation for rear yard setback for Masters Countertops. Again, these were both opened as public hearings a while ago, and we are basically continuing. Ms. Nyes.
I think Plan Commission has our staff report, and the petitioner is here, so we'll let them.
All right. Please state your name and business address again for the record.
May I remove?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Danielle Gersick, GRCIC, on behalf of the petitioner. The address of the business is 127 North Northwest Highway, Park Ridge, Illinois. And the applicant is here, and we also have our architect. We did engage a new architect to provide updated drawings for the village to address some of the concerns that were present at the last meeting. And if you can see on the plans, it does provide for that rear setback, and it provides more room than what we had all anticipated at the last meeting. So if there are questions of the applicant or the architect, we're here to answer any questions of the board.
Okay. We have nobody from the public again. So let's go to the Plan Commission. Commissioner Riles.
I don't have any questions at this time, so thank you.
Commissioner Blanova.
Thank you. We have a parking issue, if you can address that.
Would you like to be more specific about the parking issue?
Well, the staff recommended that there is an issue with the parking.
Any parking issue?
Well, let's get through the variations first. That would be a site plan.
Okay, then no questions to that.
I was going to say that will come next.
Okay. Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no questions.
Commissioner Yednak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As usual, I have a few. I was by the site again this week, and this is a question for Marcy, I guess. Does the Champro building to the south, is that a 17-foot setback now? That would be on the rear, the one that faces the rear yard of this current.
I do not know, but here's a picture of.
Well, it looks like there's, and then when I looked on it's just that there's a lot of landscaping and stuff, and I couldn't really walk back in there.
I measured from that building to their fence, which is on their property line, is 20 feet.
Oh, okay, so that has a setback. And then Commissioner Sprague brought up my next question, and the fence, currently the fence is on the lot line all around this property. Is that within code now, or is that a legal non-conforming issue? What's the status of the fence?
Well, now code allows it to be on the property line, I think.
In industrial areas, that's allowed?
Yeah, the question, if I could hop on that, is the fence going to be replaced in that south and east property line?
And we can get an answer from our architect on that, and we're open to any suggestions that you may have. But right now, the original plan was to extend the building all the way up to the fence, remove the fence, and that would be our building. And now with the fence there and the building as proposed, we're open to an option of either removing the
Well, if
fence.
this would be approved, my preference would be to remove that fence, because I think the fire department still has a concern. And I guess with that, I guess I did want to ask the fire department, with this additional 5 feet in the rear yard, but nothing in the side yard, is it still, the fire department had a lot of concerns last time this was before us. Are the concerns still relevant, or does the additional 5 feet in the rear yard calm your concerns, I guess?
Oh, it's always relevant. There's setbacks for a reason. There's one thing that I wanted to bring up that didn't come up at the last meeting that was reiterated early on is if we're going zero setback on the side, you have 2 exits right now, one on the south-facing elevation and then one on the west-facing elevation. You'll need either a sidewalk or a hard surface from that exit leading you to the public way or to the driveway. So you'll be on the neighbor to the west property with a sidewalk or a walkway. So how do we factor that in? That is one of my concerns because they're going right up against the property line on the west. And if you see the 2 doors on the other elevations, on the south elevation and the west elevation, they'll need a sidewalk going around the
Right.
building.
So the sidewalk will have to come along the south property line and then all the way along the east property line, the 250 feet, all the way up to the Alice Street in order to meet the fire protection code.
Oh, so you're
Well,
saying,
that's just exiting code, right?
Or whatever,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's right.
well, on the south side, there's the existing concrete pad that they're proposing to build on top of, so they wouldn't have to build a sidewalk there. That 5 feet is now going to be concrete pad, but you're saying
Right, well, that's.
along the east
Right,
edge?
that's assuming this new structure doesn't require any footings or anything. So whatever it is, it has to be an ADA accessible
I guess I just want a
piece of
clarification
ground
from the
to
chief then is.
going to the east.
So you're saying they have to provide man access all along the south end of the building going east?
And then all the way
well,
along.
I'm asking him.
Oh, okay.
And then from the southeast corner of the building, then they're going to have a concrete or a walkway all the way along the east edge of the building going north. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
If you're going zero clearance on that west side, you couldn't put a walkway there. You're on the neighbor's property. So,
And they're also
yes.
going to have to put doors on the building, on this building. You're saying they're going to have a door all the way on the south side?
They already have, they have one in the plans.
Oh, is it in the plan? Okay, I'd have to go back and look. Is it in the plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're exiting, that's their rear exit because they covered it up with the new addition. So you'll
Okay.
have workers exiting through there. You'll have customers exiting through there.
Well, the other thing that when I'm looking at this, then when we're talking about this, realistically on the existing properties where Champro and where the property is going to go all the way to the west border, on that west border, there's kind of nothing. There's a parking lot. Well, actually now we did approve there's a storage yard for that materials facility, right? And that's all fenced off. That's what's in that west corner when you're facing Wheeling Road. That's that storage.
Oh,
building.
that's,
That's where that's the outdoor It was an outdoor,
Yeah,
it was a
yeah,
project
yeah.
that was in front of us several months ago, and they built that fence around that area.
So they have a
so-
fence, yes.
So, Chief, if you had to get access to that west end, is that acceptable that they're going to be right up, they were going to be right up against the fence of the other business? So you would have no access basically to the west end unless you were on they have material storage, so that's possible that they're going to have material in there that you wouldn't be able to get to that west end of the proposed building.
Correct. Plus, you never know what they're going to build down the road or what structures they'll put in place.
The neighboring property, yes. I
Parking trucks,
understand.
yeah.
Right now, it's a parking lot storage lot. It's really a storage lot. They took up parking spaces. Okay. Then the last comment I wanted to make is, I guess, a lot of your replies to the proposal for the variance were that you're just adding a building on top of the existing concrete pad and it's a minor change. That really comes off as not persuasive at all. I mean, and actually it's kind of insulting to your intelligence, our intelligence, that it's a flat concrete pad is a world of difference than a building. You know, for the purpose of the setbacks is so that they can access in an emergency and so you're not right up against the neighbor. A concrete pad up against a neighboring property is a lot different than a wall up against a neighboring property. So I'm not finding that as a persuasive argument. I just wanted to make that comment because you repeated that argument throughout your proposal several places. And then the fact that the pad is already there, to me, is kind of irrelevant to an existing building. And then with that, I guess I'm going back. Originally, when we talked about this the last time, instead of a building, did you look at just building up an open, oh wait, I think Marcy said that that's not allowed. They couldn't build an open shed just to protect it from the sun and the elements? They couldn't cover that. Did you say that was not allowed last time?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I mean, that would, to me, would be an option to cover what you wouldn't be able to get, I think, well, with the new building, now let me ask this, I think with the old building, you were planning on putting in a crane along the top. Is that still part of the design?
So the design of the new building changed as well in the sense of the material that we were proposing to use?
Well, I know that, but I was just wondering if one of the reasons why you couldn't just build an open cover to protect from the elements and the sun was because you also wanted to have a crane in the new building.
That is correct.
So,
And the purpose of a crane is to move those concrete slabs, I'm sorry, not concrete slabs, but those granite and
but you
quartz
could still
slabs.
build the infrastructure for a crane and a covered shed, but still have it open so that you wouldn't have a building up to the lot line. I don't know if that's going to be within code or not. I'm not.
Can I just make one reply to one?
Yes, yes.
When you discuss my argument that we already have a concrete slab that's going up to the lot line and we have a fence, if we look back at the pictures of what that concrete slab and what that fence does and what the effect is for this property, it's much different than my residential home and maybe another industrial use. We have an applicant who purchased the building, and I just want to stress this, that concrete was there and the fence was there. Permits were pulled for this structure and the footing for all of this. His use is currently approved, right? What he is doing now is approved by the village, and he has been doing it, and he has been doing it without any disruption to the village. So if we look at the pictures and what is on the concrete slab in the back is legally allowed to be on, they're the same concrete, I'm sorry, I keep saying concrete slabs, but they're the same materials that are proposed to be in the structure. So if we look at the slab itself, it is a slab, but the slab is home to tons of granite and other types of material that are used for kitchens and bathrooms. And that same material is not movable. So that same material is sitting at the property line. And how high are those material slabs? They're probably about 4 feet, right? 6, 7 feet. So right now, if you go there to the rear, we already have 6 or 7 feet of a material, 6 feet high of a material at the property line. And all we are proposing to do is to go from the 6 or 7 feet that's already there and just go up a little bit and close it in. So I guess my argument is, or my logic with this, is that if we're already there, and if we're already this high, the request is just to go a little bit higher and cover it up. You know, it's not that the impact isn't as intense as it may appear to be. If we weren't already there, already doing this, and if it wasn't already approved.
I would say we have a difference of opinion, because a building to me is different than a fence. I understand you're saying you're going up to the lot line currently, but there's two things that I don't agree with that. Is one, like I said, a building is different than a fence.
Yes.
And so, and it's going to be a large, tall, permanent wall, and that's going to be outside of what the intention of a setback is. The other thing then is from a fire or an emergency response concept, and the chief can speak to this better than I can. If the firemen had to get into the back of that lot, they could tear that fence down in about a couple of seconds. They can't, if there was a problem you're not going to have any kind of an interior, the way you're storing the material now, you're not going to have any kind of an interior, it's not likely that you're going to have an interior emergency with the storage of the existing building. But when you build a building, now you can have an emergency within that building, and you're right up against a lot line, and they can't respond to something in that building. So I understand you're saying it's right up to the edge, but when you enclose it and build a building is a lot different than a fence. But we can just choose to disagree on that. I just say it wasn't persuasive, and I understand your argument. It's still not that persuasive to me, though.
My argument isn't only the fence, and I respect your.
And the material too.
It's the material that's sitting there. I think that is a more, it's a bigger issue, and it goes more to the point. Is the material that is there will obstruct potentially somebody. A fireman can't move and pick up a concrete or that slab to access the space. And the proposal, again now, is to have this fire-rated metal building that is approved with industry standards. I think we said there's a 1 hour. And we're proposing to sprinkler the interior of the building and to provide minimal heat. Not enough where I can open my office back there, but enough where the pipes won't freeze. So here we're addressing the concerns as best as we can, considering what we have, and hearing what the fire chief had to say.
Okay, I understand, and I want to support you as best as I can, but the code is there for a reason. I want you to stay in the village. I want you to continue doing business. I want your business to be successful. I'm not trying to stop that from happening. I'm just saying that you are asking for quite a variation. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, on this topic. Thank you.
Commissioner Berkey.
I have no questions, thank you.
Commissioner Heiken.
No questions at this point, thank you.
All right, well, we've had some fire department comments on this. Do you have anything else, Chief?
No, as far as the setbacks, I think I've been clear where we stand.
And if it were granted with the 5 foot, you would prefer the fence not be there, I assume?
Yeah, that would be correct. But again, if we'd rather have the setbacks in place, and that's why they're in place.
And for the record, we are willing to remove the fence.
Okay. And really, the only reason you need to enclose this whole thing is for the crane, it sounds like.
No, the elements.
But you could cover like a carport style and keep the elements away from the material.
Potentially, unless we had wind like today. When the elements will be protected to a certain degree, And what we're asking for is, if we've already come this far, to just do it all around. And now with the proposed metal structure, I think that gets us to a better place with the village. This is where what we were talking about at our last meeting, is can we come back with a metal structure? Can we come back with something that's not so heavy and obstructive there? And I think that's the proposal that we provided you tonight, is something that does address the concerns and does address the needs of that particular business.
And back to Commissioner Yednick's point, I doubt that you're going to get permits to just put a wall on top of that existing concrete without footings and everything else, without a true foundation to support that building.
I am not the contractor on this. I can defer to our architect, who maybe can provide some more information on what would need for this type of structure. And this is a fairly, I think, a simple answer that I can get. Do we need footings for that?
I think he needs to be sworn in.
Can we?
Yeah, you're going to have to come up and get sworn in, unless you were previously.
No, he was not.
Okay, come on up. Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
I do.
State your name and business address.
Tony Surgeon, Spoke Architecture, 659 West Randolph Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60661.
Could you spell your name?
S-E-R-G, Tony, S-E-R-G-E-N.
Thank you.
Okay, so what can you tell us about footings and foundations?
Well, yeah, it would be a new building on footings, foundations down to 42 inches freezing. It would have a 1 hour fire resistive structure. It'd be a metal building. The front of it would be built out of masonry, which would provide even higher fire resistance, even though it's not required. One of the comments about the rear exit on the south, that actually isn't a required exit, more of an access door to the rear. So I guess to the fire chief, if that's a access point for the firemen, we would pave it, but otherwise it was simply just because that's access from the space.
But that's also an exit.
Well, it's an access.
Emergency.
There's no exit sign over it. It's not an exit by code.
Yeah, we don't have plans yet, so it's hard to tell where you're
Right.
going, but you're going to need the proper exiting from that larger space, plus you're exiting the workers from the original space into that space, and there's also that west door. So if the west door goes too, because of the zero, the south door goes, you've got your work cut out for you. I don't know where else you're going to go.
Yeah, we could go out the east and then the north of the space. There'd be two exits, which would cover the
As long as you
requirements.
meet the travel distances, but again, we would need plans.
We can develop that further. I just wanted to comment on that. More for access for our standpoint. Any other questions about the building?
How do you move these things now?
We have a crane, the architect.
Oh,
Yeah, move the slabs?
yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways. When they come in, the crane is actually picking up all of the slabs in a pack of 8, and then we'll move them into space. We have a couple of gentlemen that will get them lined up on the stands, and then when it's time to take slabs into the shop for fabrication, a forklift will actually pick them up because they're not taking 8 at a time into where they're cutting the stone. So combination of equipment.
But looking at the floor plan that's up there, it looks like you have to move them through a man-sized door to get them into the shop from.
No, they would be actually going through the outside, through the overhead door.
Oh, okay.
And is that how they're currently being moved as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
and much of the actual operation isn't changing, it's just being enclosed.
All right, any other questions from the commission? Down to my right. Left. Oh. Marcy, you had something?
Yeah, I think we need some clarification on this access and sidewalk because it does affect the green space requirement. So if you have to put in 200 linear feet of a sidewalk, it's going to take you below the green space requirement and it's going to trigger another variance. So I don't know how that's going to affect everything.
Yeah, we can look at that and address it.
Well, that might mean coming back for another variation then. Was there something on the parking too?
Well, did we want to go
The parking, I guess we can address at the
site plan?
site plan.
Okay. And you had something else, Mallory?
No, I was just going to say that's what Commissioner Blanova had started asking about, and you had said wait to the site plan, so.
All right. All right, so do we have any conditions on 2021-23A?
No. Staff did not recommend approval, and there were no proposed conditions.
All right,
Would there be a condition related to this issue of the walkway?
I guess that would be part of the site plan too then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be, well, it'd come up in permitting too, wouldn't it? It would have to be, if they ended up needing it, would probably be a minor site plan amendment then. I don't think we need to add it as a condition right now, because it'll be part of permitting, but if they have to add a sidewalk or some kind of impervious surface.
Well, it would be a variance too, from the green space.
Right, you said the variance
Oh,
of green
and
space,
the
but it'd also be a minor site plan
Yeah.
amendment to what you're considering today. So we don't need to add it as a condition right now.
Because it doesn't really affect this setback variance.
Correct, it doesn't affect the setback variances, and that you can just vote on the site plan as presented today. If they change it, just like any other petitioner, they'd come back to you on a minor site plan.
Okay.
Okay, so I need a motion on 2021-23A for the side yard setback.
So moved.
Greg?
Second.
Eichen?
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
That was yes.
Commissioner Berkey?
What was that vote?
Yes.
What?
I think she said yes.
I
Is that a
still
yes?
didn't hear what.
It's a yes.
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Commissioner Berkey?
Commissioner Berkey's a yes.
Commissioner Yednak?
For the side yard? No.
Commissioner Riles?
Yes.
Chairman Johnson?
No. So we have 5-2. And now I need a motion to close 2021-23A.
So moved.
Second.
Yednak and
Heiken?
Eichen.
Commissioner Yednak?
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Riles?
Yes.
Chairman Johnson?
Yes. Any conditions on 2021-23B? I believe so.
No. No.
All right, so I need a motion on 2021-23B for the rear yard setback.
So moved.
Second.
Eichen, Berkey.
Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Yadnak.
I'm a yes. They brought it in for us from the last meeting. I appreciate that. Yes.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
No. And a motion to close 2021-23B.
So moved.
Second.
Who was it, Hyken and Berkey?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Hyken.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Yadnak.
Yes.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. Okay. We're done with the variations. Now we move to docket 2021-27, the major site plan review for a building addition at Masters Countertops, 363 Alice Street. It's nice.
So I think we've gone over a lot of stuff, but there were 3 items that staff wanted the Plan Commission to consider, and I'm suggesting we just do 3 polls on them.
Okay.
So you want to do those now or after questions?
What are they?
The first one is the commission should consider whether the proposed corrugated metal siding is an appropriate material for the building addition, since that's a prohibited material in the code. Number 2 is the commission should consider if the petitioner should submit a petition to permit a reduction in the required off-street parking spaces because they're going below the minimum required. And the third is the commission should consider if the light specification should be provided for commission review, as we do with all the other petitioners. We always ask for light.
Could we ask questions around these before we vote?
So, yeah, maybe everybody asks questions and then we can take a poll?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go through the regular thing. Did the petitioner have anything on the site plan that you wanted to bring up?
No.
Okay. So let's start down with Commissioner Hyken.
Yeah, my question is the corrugated metal siding, that's not allowed in the village. Is there something different that you can use for that?
And the reason we came back with the metal siding is because of our discussions at our last meeting.
Right,
And
an architectural metal is allowed, but not corrugated metal or metal sheets.
And we can look into the architectural metal siding. Is there a reason why we went with this versus the architectural metal siding?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what architectural metal, but I can't hear your answer.
It was a cost. He said that he wasn't sure what the major difference is, but it's probably a cost difference. So we can absolutely take a look at that.
And we have not received any samples of what they were proposing. Okay.
No, and like Waste Management just came in and did a building addition, and they provided an architectural grade metal for their building expansion that matched their current building. And they also had a brick knee wall. The fire department building, I believe, has part metal on it. Am I wrong? And it also has the brick knee wall. And those are industrial type buildings.
It's a cladded siding.
And that's in the industrial district?
Yeah.
Could you explain the difference then between architectural metal and corrugated? As a
cannot.
layperson, I don't know. No?
It's just the quality of the material. Just corrugated metal siding is just a lower quality material.
Which would make sense for this type of building if we're going for, instead of having overhang, we're not Waste Management. We are not at that level yet. Maybe we will, maybe we'll expand to that point, but for this gazebo type of shed, I think that would make sense why they would choose the lower quality. But which with still the fire ratings that we need.
We don't have the authority here to make that decision, or at the staff level. I mean, it's a code requirement. It's prohibited in the village code. I can read it to you.
I'm with you, and that's why I said,
right, so
we're open. We're here, we've discussed, we've come back, we've provided, we want to work with you.
Right. And at the last meeting when it was brought up, I did note that it was a prohibited material.
So point taken, and we will address that material, and we can provide samples.
Okay, that's all I have right now, thank you.
Commissioner Berkey.
I don't think I have any questions for the petitioner, but I was curious about the corrugated metal versus architectural. Is it I guess for Marcy, is it the reason for the prohibition of using that is just more for appearance purposes, or is there anything, what's different?
Honestly, I didn't make the standard.
Okay.
So I believe it's quality, it's function, it's just a cheaper material, just like we don't allow the type of fence material where it's just all the wood things pushed together. You guys require a cedar fence. It's just a different quality of the material. That's the only way I can relate it.
Okay, just wondering. Thank you.
Is that it? Commissioner Yednick.
Yeah, I guess without understanding, can I assume though that no matter what you're building, your internal crane, that's going to be the support and the structures for that are going to be separate than the building. If Marcy is saying that corrugated metal is not as high of quality, you're not going to try to mount a crane onto those corrugated walls are not going to try to support the crane then, is that?
That is correct, and
There's going to be interior girders and whatever built for the crane to be able to
Correct.
move around in there.
correct.
Okay.
So, and the quality and performance of the metal are two different things. So the performance of the corrugated metal that was provided isn't necessarily lower performance than that of the architectural.
Okay.
I think it's a learning process for us all
And then
with the
this,
new material.
okay, I guess I really wish I knew I had an example in my head. I'm not opposed if it's a good-looking corrugated metal. I don't know, Marcy, does anybody know a local example that they could point to that I might reference? I guess I don't know.
Well, I just provided two where they didn't provide the corrugated metal on brand-new projects where it was prohibited, so they provided something of better quality.
Okay. Then the question, before we vote on the poll on the variation to permit the reduction in the parking, this is for legal, I guess. Shouldn't we really require the variation and not just kind of like look the other way at this point? Because we've had discussions on things where stuff got through before that Marcy was not able to find, I didn't find the variation on file or anything like that. I mean, shouldn't we dot the T's and cross the I's, I guess? Or dot the I's and cross the T's?
You certainly can require the variation. Marcy, what was I think it's because it's being used for storage that we were.
Well, I think the issue was the applicant has just responded that they didn't need it or they didn't do it. Like, we've asked for it 3 times and they haven't applied for it. So now we're saying.
Well, I mean, the materials that they submitted are persuasive in the fact that they've talked about how many employees they're going to have and how many guests, and I think they're going to have sufficient parking, but I'm just thinking, shouldn't we have the variation just to make sure we're following a legal
Yes.
process?
Yes.
And not just waive it at this point?
Yeah.
Yes.
That
Okay.
would be
I just wanted clarification on that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The corrugated metal, I think one of the reasons why it's prohibited is because normally it's galvanized steel that is very bright, and if the sun hits it, it throws off a lot of reflection, and it's ugly. If we had a sample, like they're saying, it would help a lot, if it's not what I'm speaking of now. Otherwise, I'm against the normal galvanized corrugated, but I'm not against a metal building. If it's architectural or like that building that's to the south of you that has non-corrugated steel walls.
Okay, we can.
So I would have no problem with something like that. That's all I have.
Commissioner Blanova.
The only question I had, that, point, I mean, there's so many of them, with the parking, but at this point, probably I'll skip that one. I have no
All right.
questions.
Commissioner Riles.
I have no questions, thank you.
All right. I think most of my comments have been addressed. Would we need to put in a condition, if this is approved, that the fence be removed? Okay.
Was this just questioning for the pole?
No, this was for the site plan.
I thought we were taking 3 poles.
Yes.
We will.
Yes. His question was about the fence around the property being removed in light of the 5-foot setback that we discussed earlier.
Okay, so then
That wasn't one of the polled questions.
We'll get to the polls.
I'll have some more questions then, when you're done.
I saw a hand raised over in the corner.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, when we talk about the industrial side with the fire station, that's a CMU building where the apparatus bay is with the cladding siding on the, to make it decorative and to seal it from the elements. So it is a concrete block building. And I think the closest thing I could come to this is an airplane hangar. So if you look at some of the airplane hangars with the corrugated steel, that's kind of what you're attaching to this brick building, if you grant the variance.
Right.
So it'll have to have structural components to handle the roof, handle the crane. You can't just put a aluminum roof on it. You're going to have a solid roof with layment, and so it'll be substantial.
But even with Atlantic Aviation, the building that we just approved, it was not corrugated metal. It was an architectural metal, and they even put a footer on it.
A what?
A footer, like a knee wall.
Oh.
Which project?
Aviation
Atlantic Aviation, the new building that just went up.
Okay.
on the airport.
In your documentation, your description letter, I was confused because it indicated that you applied for a special use permit. And we haven't seen any special use permit application, is that correct?
That's correct.
So I'm not sure why that was included in your write-up.
I'm not either. That could be.
I mean, it's in the title of the document, application for special use permit and variation.
That could just be a typo.
Well, it's repeated several times, so.
That's how we started. I think that's where that came from. We started after discussions in the beginning, and even our communications from the village had a master's countertop special use and variance request. So there was some back and forth and confusion of what happened first in the history of the building. I think that's where this whole thing came from. There was confusion as to the actual use.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, there was a point of discussion that in the event that we do change the footprint of the building, and if we do any variation, then we would have to apply for a special use for the existing use. Was that correct?
If you, there was some, I don't believe the outdoor storage is approved right now.
It is. It is
Okay,
as
then that's
illegal.
what- I don't remember what was approved, so I'm not sure. If that's, I was just thinking if you don't get the building approved, then you have to get the outdoor storage approved. That's the only thing I could think of.
No, the outdoor storage exists as a legal non-conforming use, if I am correct.
So maybe it's if you change the footprint of that.
I think that's where that came from.
Okay, just trying to figure out.
And then we would Is that the village's position then, that we would have to come back for a special use for the outdoor storage facility, or are we good? I think after the staff review and after everything we went through back and forth, again, this has been going on so long, so I know, I'm not holding anybody to it, but I'm just trying to answer the question, that we started with this and that we ended with, we just go through the variation. And we
Yeah, I think
continue
we just
life
said
as
we
it
went through the
is
variation.
with the structure and we're fine.
Right, I don't
And
believe
that's
you
why
need a
that's
special
there.
use at this time.
Right. But that's why that's there.
Okay.
Because it was just a continuation of communication from me.
Because if you did get the building, you would still be legal
Legal
non-conforming,
non-conforming.
right?
Yes.
If that's
Okay.
the current.
If that was, if that was a communication.
Okay. We talked about that. Commissioner Sprague, you had some other questions?
Yeah, just I wanted to clarify, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have no problem with not installing the fence on the south side?
That is correct. The south,
Because then that would add an additional 5 feet to the 20 that's there now.
is that correct? Correct. That is correct.
Okay. And was Commissioner Yednick discussing a variation for the building material?
No.
Was
no,
it,
he
is that
was-
something that we're going to need?
He was at, I think
The
Commissioner
parking. I was
Yedlin was
asking
about
about
the
the
parking.
The parking.
What about the building material? If we allow some type of
It wouldn't be a
architectural
variation.
steel,
If they want to do corrugated metal, it would require a variation.
Oh, it would.
Yeah,
but not if it was a different material, but
Correct.
still steel
If
or
it's an
metal?
approved material, then no.
Okay, all right. And then you need some specifications on wall lights? Was that,
that's one of my questions.
Yeah.
okay, all right. All right, that's all I have then. Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone down there? The other way? All right, let's get to the polls then.
Okay, so our 3 poll questions are based on information that we've requested from the applicant, but we have not received. So the first poll question is, let's see how I should phrase this. Is the corrugated metal siding an appropriate material for the building addition?
Wouldn't a more appropriate question be, do we require the applicant to construct the structure with approved materials? And just leave it at that, because the corrugated metal, if they come back with something that's in the approved list, otherwise you're saying if they come back with the corrugated metal, they would have to get a variation. I mean,
I'm not sure.
Okay, reword that again.
I'm just saying, wouldn't, the question to the commission is, would the commission require that the building be constructed with
Approved.
approved materials per the code or what?
Okay.
I mean, just a yes or no on that.
Commissioner Heiken,
So the question is,
do we insist that they
yes,
construct with
yes.
currently approved materials?
Right. That includes steel other than corrugated?
It could.
Okay.
if it's
Yes. The
on approved
architectural grade
list.
steel is an approved material.
So in our list of prohibited materials, it says, number 4 is panels and boards not listed above, which is sheet metal, corrugated metal, plastic, plywood, and fiberglass. So corrugated metal is specifically called out as a prohibited material.
And to assist in your analysis, we can agree today, right now, to proceed with the approved materials, which would be the architectural metal.
Yeah,
So that
but
way we don't
would-
have to.
We would have to see what that is.
Right.
Would that be
We're not going to just
a minor?
blindly say,
Well, we
okay.
have that,
We have the list of conditions then, if we were to approve
we
it.
have colors. Yeah, it would have to be a condition. So, okay, keep going.
Okay, so Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Yednick,
Yes.
Commissioner Riles,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sprague.
Yes.
And it's unanimous with my yes. All right, what's the next one?
Should the petitioner be required to submit a variation for parking spaces?
Parking? How many spaces are we talking about?
3.
3?
They're 3 short, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Heiken?
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Yednek?
Yes.
Commissioner Riles?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague?
Yes.
And I'm going to be a no on this one. I'm not concerned about the 3 spots. Okay, next one was about lighting.
Yes. Should the petitioner have to provide light specifications to the Plan Commission for review?
What's the alternative? Is it just leaving it to staff review? I mean, if
No,
if
they
that
just-
were the alternative, I would be okay with that. Or is it just leaving?
Well,
it-
everybody,
no review?
all other petitioners have to provide them to the Plan Commission. So does this petitioner not have to provide it to the Plan Commission? That's the question. They all, so then when it comes to permit, they can just put in whatever. Normally, when it comes to permit, we compare it against what's approved by the Plan
Well,
Commission.
what if you made a condition that the lighting, proposed lighting is subject to staff review?
Yep, we can do that.
I mean, I think you're just going to hang some outside lights on them. Not that.
I know, but I'm just,
No, I know.
want to be
but I'm
clear,
just-
because
I
we
just- I
nitpick
don't
this
wanna-
on, we've made people.
I'm trying not to make them come back with a whole bunch of stuff. It's not my call. I'm just thinking I would propose that I would be okay with leaving it to staff review if we made it a condition of the approval.
Well, I think if they're going to have to put a sidewalk all the way down the east side of the building, they're going to need lighting over there too. You need emergency exit lighting of some amount, not much, but
Yeah, I'd have to look into it, but it should be illuminated, sure.
yeah. So, of course, we won't know that until we know if that's where a sidewalk's going to go, which,
Well, then you're talking about adding lighting to the currently, I'm looking at the elevations, because they're going to have a walkway along that whole east edge of the property. Right now, the only thing that's in the elevations is one little LED light over that east
Right.
exit door. So now you're saying they have to modify the existing building too.
yeah, because they're putting in a new walkway, presumably. And does that need to be a condition too, the walkway?
I think we were
No.
going to look at that at
Maybe
building
permitting?
permit.
They're gonna look at that at permitting, because I know the architect was making statements that he thinks he can arrange it so they don't need it. If they need it, they'll have to come back for a minor site plan,
Okay.
because it's not on the plan right now.
So then the poll question is, do they need to come back with a lighting plan for us to review?
Or just light specifications, not even a plan.
Okay, light specifications. Commissioner Heiken,
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Yednek,
I'm okay with staff review if that's an option.
is that yes or no?
I don't know. Is no staff review, is yes, is it yes commission only or no is staff review? So
Do they need to come back to us to show us their lights?
I think they should come back and show somebody, but it doesn't have to be us. I'm saying no to the commission.
Okay. Commissioner Ryle,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague,
Yes.
and I'll say yes on this one. Are there any other pending questions?
No.
And, well, let's go through the conditions that we have so far, if we have any.
So the conditions, number 1, the building permit application shall include a revised elevation plan that identifies and labels all building materials. For example, roof, glass, doors, overhead doors. And I guess that's where they would identify the metal. We would cover that there. Number 2, a color rendering or color building elevations shall be included with the building permit application that identify the building material colors and if the colors are integrated or will be surface painted. At a minimum, paint color samples of all exterior building materials shall be included on the building elevation plans. Number 3, the petitioner shall provide material specification sheets for all external light fixtures with the building permit application. We always require that anyhow. And number 4, the petitioner shall submit a revised site plan that includes a minimum 1 ADA accessible parking space with the building permit application. And then I was going to add a number 5, the petitioner shall remove the fence from the south side of the property.
What was 5?
The petitioner shall remove the fence from the south side of the property.
Remove the what?
Fence.
Fence, oh. Well, then, wouldn't you also have something about the parking variation as a condition?
Well, so that's what you've decided. I don't know how, if you are approving it or if you're tabling it to come back for,
It sounds like you wanted them to come back to the commission, so the appropriate motion would be to continue so that they could bring things back at the same time they could do a parking variation.
We had also, seems to me, with these conditions, we're not approving a final result.
correct.
There's a lot of open holes.
Right, because we still want to know what material they're going to use.
Right. We've never approved something where we said, go back and bring the materials back. Because you're basically saying, bring it back to us anyway.
Right. So, any other questions? Not, I would ask for a motion to continue this to,
So moved.
Wait, we need
Well,
we need a
if,
date.
wait.
if you're going to continue it for a variation, then then it's going to have to be January 26th.
If they want them on both dates to just be heard at the same time, which might be cleaner.
Well, that's what I was saying, because then you could do them both on the 26th. And you could get everything done on the 26th, because then there would be enough time to do the notice.
Do you have a preference between the, doing everything on the 26th or bifurcating the two between the 12th?
I would prefer everything on the 26th.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
okay. So, looking for a motion to continue 2021-27 to a date certain of January 26, 2022. I believe I had a motion before.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Who was that?
Heiken and,
Yednak.
Yes.
Heiken.
Heiken and Yednak.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Heiken.
Yes.
Commissioner Yednak.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Riles.
Yes?
Chairman Johnson.
yes.
Okay, okay, so we can touch base tomorrow about.
Okay, I can stay and talk more. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, next we have the approval of minutes of the regular meeting of December 1st, 2021, our marathon meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Sprague and Heiken, was it?
Berkey.
Berkey. You two sound too much alike down there.
No, that was me.
Oh, that was?
That was-
Oh,
we-
I
we-
was going by sound. Wow, sorry about that.
I've got the microphone
You
very
sound too much
close.
alike.
Voice?
It was Heiken.
Voice?
Yeah, voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, other business. Marcy, what you got? Anything?
Nope.
Mr. Riles?
I do like to say it was great to see the Santa Claus
Oh, yeah.
parade throughout the neighborhood. I guess this is the second year for it due to COVID, so it was refreshing to see once again that this happened.
They canceled tonight's because of the wind.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, the reindeer were gonna have problems. So that, yeah, whoever was on the schedule for tonight, they're gonna do Monday, I guess.
Okay.
Commissioner Blanova, any other business? Commissioner Sprague?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone.
Commissioner Heiken?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the entire staff for all their hard work this year. Looks like all their work is starting to show. It seems like every week that we're here, somebody new is coming to town. So the hard work that we don't see looks like it's paying off. And I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays as well.
Commissioner Berkey?
Yeah, I'd like to say, thanks to the village for beautiful lights all over the town. It seems like every year they get to be bigger and better, and it's really nice to see. I didn't get to see Santa, though, but my kids did get to see Santa, which is what counts, and wanted to wish everyone a happy holiday.
Commissioner Yednick?
I'll just jump on the holiday greeting bandwagon. Thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Sprague, you're gonna be missing both meetings in January, you think?
Most likely.
Likely?
I would prefer if I was able to make the second one, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay. And Commissioner Blanova is aware of this
Yes, she is.
and ready to back you up?
Yep.
Okay. Chief, any holiday greetings or anything?
I was driving Mr. and Miss Santa Monday, and it was awesome. And the driver last night said it was great to see how excited the kids were, and we do love doing that. And we will get back to it on
Yeah, we
Monday.
saw him 3 times at our house.
Yeah, it was good, but happy holidays, everybody, and be safe.
Thank you.
All right, and, yeah, I'll add my happy holidays and see everybody next year. Hope things get better.
If I can add, Marcy, thank you so very much for the holiday gifts.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Everybody.
Second,
Not sure who was first and second.
Yednick, Commissioner Yednick.
I think I slipped that one in this time.
Ednack and Berkey, right?
Thank you.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Have a safe New Year.